listening to the GreenSkull podcast.
A podcast for Fife fans, music artists, and creatives alike. Hey, what's up guys? Before we start the show, just wanted to give a huge shout out to our sponsors, Natural Selection, a brand that's not just about clothing, but a lifestyle. I'm thrilled to introduce the trendsetters of Coachella Valley streetwear, Natural Selection. Natural Selection is all about quality and uniqueness. Their designs are a fusion of street culture and the vibrant energy of the Coachella Valley. What's up? It's the GreenSkull podcast. I'm your host, MCKG, aka DJ GreenSkull, and I'm here with the homie Alex Avila. What's good, bro?
What's going on, brother? How are you?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Right from the jump, bro. How did you get involved with Desert Underground?
Oh, with the Underground?
Yeah.
I known Angel for a minute, just through I think like I know Angel actually before he was kind of like doing this Undergrounds, kind of like when he was just like Coachella Angel, just doing Coachella videos, posting stuff, and he was always, I don't know, we kind of had some stuff alike, we were kind of like into the same stuff. He invited me at one time to a podcast when he was just talking about Coachella, because just like him, bro, I think like I've been to like 15 plus Coachellas, I've been to since probably 2010, I think, like around 2009, like I've been going to, and we're the same age, so yeah, we just kind of like had like mutual interest. And they started doing this Undergrounds, and actually that's when I saw you performing. Like, I saw you there, and I was like, hey, dude, this is cool, because I really liked the fact that he was like community based, Yeah. Because he was basically providing like an opportunity for like locals or other people, not even locals, but people who wanted like perform. And we just kind of like talked to each other, and I was like, hey, let's do a comedy show. And we've been doing comedy shows since. He actually asked me last year. He asked me like in early in February last year, but I was just kind of like doing some stuff, and he was also busy with his social media production stuff, and then we find some time eventually, and now we have done I think like 7 or 8 shows together.
Damn. Okay, so you were with Desert Underground comedy shows since the very beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean we're like the founders of Desert Underground's comedy.
Oh, okay.
He's Desert Underground's, I guess, like we're Desert Underground's comedy.
Sick. I know, I've seen the Instagram pop up. Like it said, Desert Underground Comedy.
Yeah, like I think he just made a page last week.
Oh, okay, yeah. Cool. That's sick, bro. Hell yeah. So as being like the start of Desert Underground Comedy with Angel, I see on your Instagram, but are you a comedian yourself?
Yeah, I'm a comedian.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. When did you start comedy?
I started comedy, I think like this year I'm coming to 3 years, like late. I think like on Thanksgiving, week of Thanksgiving before or after. That's when I've done. It'll be 3 years. So right now, like I have doing it for 2 years now, which is kind of like crazy. Just because when I started, literally, the way you start comedy is just you go an open mic and they throw you on stage. Anybody can just go on the stage, and most people, I'll probably say like 15 out of 20 or more, probably higher. You bump. The first time you basically like no one laughs, you're just kind of like, oof, wow, this is rough to watch,
Yeah.
But then you start basically building your reps, and then you eventually like come out with some material, and other comics maybe find you funny, and they're like, hey, you want to be on a show? And all of a sudden, like, if you start putting work, you get rewarded for it,
Yeah. So when you started comedy, was that out here in the desert?
Yeah, it was basically Coachella Valley Brewery. They do like an open mic every Thursday. And I started going. They had some shows. Also, when I started, I feel like it was a good time because there was kind of like a lot of little things popping up. It was like basically, well, first of all, bro, I have always wanted to do stand up, like always, like basically, not like growing up, but when I was I used to watch stand-up when I was like, I don't know, 14, 15. But I was always basically like doing something, either playing sports in college, PC, like, or whatever. So you never actually had like the chance to be like, okay, I want to commit to something, because I don't want to like do something kind of like half, like not really committed. I want to if I'm doing something, I want to kind of like be like, okay, I'm able to put in some work, some time, and basically when I started, that was the right time for me, and I'm kind of happy. Sometimes people ask me if I wish I would have started earlier, and to be honest, who knows? Maybe if I would have started earlier, I would have been like, you know what, this isn't for me. I have bills to pay. I have college, and probably would have something would not work. Somehow it wouldn't work out.
Oh, I get you. Yeah, no, I mean like the come up. I feel like everybody's come up it sounds pretty similar. Like when I started music, the open mics, kind of similarities right there. So when you started comedy, like was comedy always around? Because to be honest with you, I haven't really seen that much comedy shows until Desert Underground was pushing heavy.
Yeah. So I think comedy has always been like kind of like around in some type of way, right? Like local comedy, I think like it just kind of came up. It's been more lately. I think like more lately. There's been. I don't know if you heard, but there was like a comedy festival last. I think 2 weeks ago. There was like 80 comics that came from San Diego, Canada, like LA, different places. And this is like the third year, like, and so it's grown. I think to be honest, wouldn't be able to give you like a specific stats or whatever, but I feel like kind of like before pandemic, it was kind of growing. There was some shows at the Hood. There was some shows that place at the river that got closed. What was that place at the river? It was like some kind of nightclub at the river.
Oh man, I'm not sure, to be honest.
I forgot the name of it, but yeah, there was basically some small shows, like here and there, but I feel like now there's more. Right now, like basically, it's like day and night in comparison. There's so many kind of like different comics putting shows and doing stuff, kind of like, so for a new comic, it's perfect because you're getting a lot of chances to perform.
So are you pretty much like the talent provider? Like you get all the talent together, you set up all the sets and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's basically like I kind of like run the show, like I think like I let Angel mostly do like kind of like Angel does mostly like kind of like the operational aspect of no, actually more like technical aspect, as basically set up lights, recordings, making sure like we have like shares a day, like we have a venue and stuff, and I do a lot of kind of like the operation, kind of like a lot of. I think that when it comes to promotion, we do a pretty good split. But I'm also just because kind of like I'm putting the shows together mostly. Like a lot of I'm doing kind of like. Oh, that was like what he said. So I'm either have like a kind of like a team night, not a team night, but just. I play soccer, so I tell some of my homies, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna have a show, and then bring like a whole soccer team. So that's already like, if I bring a soccer team, that's 15 people plus their girlfriends and friends, whatever. That's already like 40 people that are coming to a show, So we don't shows like basically back to back, kind of like an early show and a night show, and the same with like different. I had a birthday show and just like hey, just run it, and also just. A lot of kind of like people came, so yeah. I think we do like pretty good. I think we do like a pretty good team, and also I don't know if you know Alex. That's Angel's girl. Mm-hmm. She also does so much stuff behind the scenes, like making sure we have like food vendor, making sure we have like alcohol. I mean, we don't have alcohol there, but make sure we have people can drink if they want to like have some energy drinks, yeah, she does a lot of stuff like that.
Dang, that's awesome, man. Yeah, no, I actually haven't got the chance myself to go to one of these events because something always comes up, but I guess like what are some of the things that people can expect? Is there like a session where everyone's kind of chilling until the show starts, or is like
yeah, that's honestly like that's a great question, because I think like that's what differentiates our shows to like other shows, because I feel like some people have gone to comedy shows, and most typical comedy shows at a comedy club. You go there, basically show starts at 8. You walk in, and around 10 minutes before you sit down, get a drink. Show ends like an hour later, and you're done with the day. Our show's a little bit different because we normally have like a DJ before everything starts. We have basically some music going on. Then we have like a food vendor, but a food vendor is like a local person selling, like is there like a taco guy, a burger guy, someone. But we're basically we're trying to make sure we're getting someone who's kind of like who's got our back, There's this friend that I play soccer with forever. His name is Pepe Tacos. That's I don't know if you guys heard of him.
Yep.
But he promotes our shows. He's just like, hey, I'm gonna be here, and he has like some kind of following, so he's promoting it, bringing like his friends, bringing cousins. So that help us. So people come in early, they get some food, then basically they're like enjoying the show, whatever. And we do something that this was Angel's idea. Just this came from like music. He's like, hey, what if you do like a break in between the show? And I was like, oof, that's interesting. Why do you want to do a break? It's like, oh, that way people can chill outside. People can like have some food, have some drinks, and if they want to come back, they can come back. And I thought about it because normally if there's like an intermission, people are like, what if people leave? And I was like, I don't want people like leaving because then I have some comics getting like a full crowd, a full room, and the other people will not have the same experience. But people just stick around. People are actually like, there's people showing up late to the second half or whatever. So yeah, normally like if we have a food vendor and if we have energy drinks there, people stay there. People stay there for like a longer time, and that's cool because people kind of like socialize with each other. During the intermission because they don't know, they have nothing else to do besides talk to other people. They're like, hey, how do you know Alex? How do you know like Gabriel? How do you know Alex or Alex, or Angel? And they just start kind of like mingling with each other. And people started dating after going to our shows, which to me, like, that's just crazy. The fact that I had a friend going to comedy show, my comedy show, and he met a girl, and now they're like dating. Like to me, like that's super cool to me.
That's awesome, man. No, it's sick because honestly, like Desert Underground as a whole, and even just Angel, like he's done so much for the community, and like those intermissions is a good idea because I see it also like an opportunity to network, like you said, like when people just talk to each other. Because I've noticed in the comedian like world, I guess, a lot of the fans, they stick together, and that's cool shit. Like I've noticed, like I've known people who went to multiple comedy shows, all around the desert and stuff like that. But there's not much like, other fans like besides that. Like they don't bunch up together like that. Like that, I see like a lot of those fans, they have pride in being fans of comedy. And that's cool shit.
We have some fans that not fans, but we have some people that have come to the shows. Like I think like there's some people who've been to every single show. Like we've done 7 shows, and every month they're there. Like I used to ask a question: raise your hand if you've been to 1 show, 2 shows, and there's people that are being like, I'm like, raise your hand if you have been to 7 shows, and they're like, oh, I'm like, wow, that's crazy, but that's right. This person has been to every single show. And we don't do any like huge marketing, any huge promo, in ads, and because a lot of people you see like posting, paying Instagram to promote something or boost it. We don't do any of that. We just basically post it, put some reels. Mostly like it's word to mouth. If someone comes to the show, they have a good time, they go to work on Monday, and people want to tell each other kind of like what they did over the weekend. So they're like, what do you do this weekend? I was like, oh, I went to this comedy show in Coachella. I was at a house. There was a DJ, there was a taco guy, and they're like, what? And they start basically following us, and they bring their friends to the next one, because it's like it's an experience.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like there's some sort of like exclusivity with that too, because like word of mouth is the best promo.
Oh, definitely.
100%. Oh, sorry.
No, yeah. So basically, like I think we're pretty like fortunate that we did like our first show that we did. It was actually a lot of work because I remember just seeing with Angel. And we're just kind of like going through our contacts, just hitting people and calling people, explaining to people about the show, and like it's just like 2 hours of me and him texting people, calling people, and I was like, all right, cool, let's see what happens. And it got sold out on Thursday, like the day before the show, and the second one, same thing happened, and all of a sudden it created some kind of like a FOMO factor. People were like, man, I want to go to the next one. When's the next one? And it's been like they're in pretty good shows. Like most local comics. They enjoy them because it's a good crowd and full of energy, and it's cool.
Hell yeah, I like the FOMO factory.
Yeah.
No, it's real shit. That's cool, man. Dang. So bringing it back to yourself, when you started comedy, like at what point did you feel like, okay, like I could do this?
Oof, I think like it took me a while. I feel like at the beginning, I wasn't really writing for me. I was kind of like writing jokes to make sure everybody would like me. I was like writing jokes to impress people or to make sure. I don't know. I was thinking like I was going too hard about it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna write something that everyone in the room laughs, something that everybody thinks it's funny, and that's never gonna work, because funny is subjective. Some people might laugh at something, people might not laugh at something, And eventually, what I changed was when I started writing stuff that I was like, okay, this is funny to me. I don't care what everyone else thinks. I'm just gonna go on stage, have a good time. And I started just writing about being Latino, about like the culture, about like some stuff that like I was like, okay, this white guy right here might not understand it, but he laughs. He's like, okay, that's funny because he's never cared about like my dad's trying Duolingo and he doesn't understand it, or my mom, communicating with my girlfriend who's white, and it's just stuff like that they find funny. And I was like, okay, now I feel like I actually got it. Finally find like my niche. What should I be talking about on stage?
Nice. So I guess with the comedy, right? How would you describe your style? Are you based do you solely just talk about your personal experiences, or do you kind of make up stories?
Yeah, I think I've done. Okay, this is a great question because I feel like most comics struggle with this question. I try to keep it real, basically stuff that has happened or stuff that I've seen, seen happen or I've been around. I just feel like when you make something real, it's funnier. And if you can exaggerate something on it, if there's a story that is real, I got into a car accident, right? And that's real because that happened. And I started just adding stuff basically the cops thinking I had a DUI just because I'm Mexican or whatever. They're asking me have you been drinking? I'm like, hey dude, it's 5 a.m. Bars are closed right now. And stuff like that. Just stuff that is real, and it just putting my little touches on it. I feel like that's my style. I'm also trying to keep it kind of clean. I'm not a huge fan of comics that just do dick jokes or super dirty stuff, just because I feel like anybody can make jokes about it and get laughs. I try to basically be a little bit different, find something that I'm like, okay, I feel like this person when they leave, they're like, wow, I can't believe this guy made a joke about this. I don't think I ever heard somebody make a joke about tamales or something like that,
Yeah, I know what you mean with the dick jokes. Have you ever been heckled?
And I don't think ever been heckled on a way that is just somebody going and just attacking me and stuff. But I think it's a little bit worse when you get no interaction whatsoever. I feel I prefer somebody just heckle me, man. Because sometimes I've been there when I'm on stage. My worst basically set ever. It was actually on 9/11. That's I'm not making that up. It was basically on 9/11, and which I'm never gonna forget it because it was on 9/11, and also but I'm basically there and no one's laughing. I'm just doing 8 minutes, and I'm just I have everyone's attention. No one's laughing. I'm just wait, is this some kind of prank? Because I literally my same set I did it on Saturday. And people were on Saturday, they laugh. It was a good set. And on Monday, no one's laughing. Everyone's just looking at me kind of with a straight face. So at that point, I was okay, can somebody just heckle me? Somebody do something? Because I was just 8 minutes of just me talking, and it's just I'm trying to tell the guy, just get me out of here, bro. Just I'm done, But I'm just going with my set. And the next day, I laughed, bro, because that's hilarious, Just think about basically the experience or just being on stage and no one's laughing. I just think on itself it's hilarious. It's the worst nightmare, but it's just once you go through that, you're okay, nothing worse can happen,
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. There's some similarities there, man. Because I've bombed for sure. As an artist, on stage, and you choked. It's called choked, but basically you forgot your lyrics, or I think it's just I feel like it's all in your head,
Yeah, I'm getting better at crowd work. I feel like crowd work right now is under I think crowd work. I'm gonna tell you actually a secret. A lot of the crowd work is people are already prepared with the crowd work. People that's already written stuff that people already have it. Okay, if I see a guy wearing a hat, I'm gonna say this. If I see a guy doing this, I'll say this. I'll say that. And if you say yes, he already has an answer. If he says no, I'll have something kind of just because you don't want to just doing crowd work. I mean, there's some people that can they're amazing. They just come out with anything on the spot. I will say 90% of the comics, their crowd work, it's kind of prepared. I'm not a huge. I don't really do it that much. I feel that's something that I have to develop. But what I don't like when some comics they put people down. There's people that are basically on stage and they're just kind of they get on stage to kind of bully other people, to make fun of it. I just feel it's kind of I like to make fun of myself or laugh with let's laugh together, But there's I've seen that from comics, and I'm just yeah, you're getting laughs, but I just kind of you're an asshole,
But so while you're doing your set, how much of your set is like improvised and like freestyling?
I think like probably just out of like the 100% of the set, probably just like 80%, because I like to kind of like just bring like new ideas, new materials. Like every time that I'm performing, I like to bring something kind of like new, because you get there's some. I mean, I respect any comic. Some comics do the same set every single time, but I'm just like, how do you do not get bored of doing the same jokes every time? And yes, you're crushing, you're getting laughs, but I think like it's kind of like if you're gonna grow, if you wanna grow like in as a comic, you kind of have to be coming up with new stuff. So I'd probably just do like 90% is like stuff that I've done that I'm comfortable, because it's also a show, you know. I want people to, whoever is booking me, whoever is basically bringing me to the show, I don't want them to just be like, bro, just completely bomb. And I don't want to tell them like, oh yeah, just because I did a bunch of new jokes, you know. So I like to kind of like just bring like probably one new joke, and if I see if it works, I'm like, okay, I'll probably do it again, and I'll do it again, and all of a sudden that's something that works, you know.
Yeah. Damn. So how long is a set for a comedian?
I would say normally like set it's it goes from 5 minutes all the way to 30 minutes. 30 minutes. I've never done 30 minutes. I just this past weekend I did 20, and that was basically. I honestly did not think I was gonna be able to do 20 minutes. I was like, I don't think I have enough material. But once I was on stage, I just literally thought, I was like, wow, I could have probably gone for another 10 minutes. So maybe one day I'll do 30 minutes, but I just, as of now, I feel like I have like 15, 20 minutes. Not like perfect material, but you know, just like,
yeah,
I can be on stage for 20 minutes, and probably out of those 20 minutes, 5 to 8 is really good stuff. Other stuff is just stuff that gets me by. You know, people are like, oh, that's alright. You know, that's alright.
Yeah. Like, what do you find more challenging? Do you find a longer set challenging or a smaller set? Because I feel like with the smaller set, you gotta hit them quick.
That's a great question. Yes, I think like that's a great question. I think like a 5-minute set, it is. I think like it's a little bit more. You're right. You kind of have to be getting the people like immediately, like maybe
quick.
Yes, I think like when I basically prepare, I'm like, okay, this is like I'm not even gonna say hi to anyone, you know, because there's some people who are like, hey guys, how you guys doing? My name is Alex. All of a sudden, that's already 20 seconds, you know, that's already 30 seconds. So I'll just probably just try to go on like an hour, alright, like a joke. I think when you have like a longer set, you can kind of like, you don't have to like rush as much.
Yeah.
And if a joke didn't work, or if a joke is kind of like working, you can probably double down on the joke, you know. It's like, okay, this joke, I know this joke works. Let me explain a little bit more. Let me add something more to it. On the 5-minute set, 4-minute set, you just kind of have to be like, okay, this doesn't work. Gone. Like just be done with it, you know.
Yeah. I guess, how long did it take from while you became a comedian to start producing your own shows? Like, what inspired you to do that?
Yeah, so honestly, like a huge shout out to Brandon Taylor and Chad Bradbury. I'll see if I can plug him in and bring him to your podcast. But they just hit me up. They were producing shows. They have like this comedy production called Comedy DJs, and they just asked me one time, like, hey, would you like to be part of the Comedy DJs? And I was like, okay, let's go. They took me to, I forgot where they took me. I think we followed Wild Wings or the casino, and we just got like drinks and like made it official and stuff. And I kind of got to see like under the scenes, you know, behind the scenes. Like, okay, we gotta have like 4 or 5 comics. We should have this person before this person. This person's really dark. Let's have someone after like a little bit. You know, we don't want to have dark because it's like people are gonna be like depressed, you know. But let's put someone dark and then put someone like more funny or more high energy, and just they just basically like kind of like took me by their wing, and I got to do like a bunch of shows very early on in my career, because I guess I was just within like a year I was already like doing like 2 shows every month, like good shows. So that really helped, and eventually like I started just like doing my stuff with Angel. I still do shows with Brandon and Chad like most of the time, but I'm now kind of like just doing kind of like my own thing, you know.
Yeah. How consistent do you think an upcoming comedian should be these days? Like, how many shows do you think they should hit?
I feel like quantities. I feel like sometimes quality is better than quantity. You know, I just think like, for example, in LA, there's a lot of people that I know. They moved to LA, or are not coming from LA, who are doing open mics, and they're doing 10 open mics a week. And I'm like, wow, 10 open mics a week, that's crazy. But you're doing open mics at a place that they don't want to be. You know, you're, for example, like a coffee shop. Like, yeah, somebody thought about the idea of like, let's do an open mic here, and there's only 4 people, and there's 6 comics, and like the comics don't really care about your stuff; they just want to perform. So yeah, that open mic sucks. So what would you count that? Maybe because you're rehearsing your jokes, you know. But then you go another open mic that they all kind of like the same. I think like I'd rather just do like 1 or 2 open mics that are good quality open mics, and you're like, okay, I have like a good room, people are actually paying attention, and that way you can actually test like something that it gets. I feel like an open mic, the quality of an open mic, like the closer it is to like an actually show, that's the quality of an open mic you want to be like doing. So I don't know what's the right answer about like numbers. I think like most importantly, you can probably substitute performing with writing, because if you're writing daily, like at least not daily, but 5 minutes to like 30 minutes, or just coming up with new ideas or improving your watching tape. Watching tape, and that's so painful because I record my shows, and I come home and I basically after the shows I come home and watch the set, and you know when you're performing you're like, man, I did pretty good, and then you're watching it, you're like, damn, this sucks, like this actually not good. And you know my girlfriend's like, oh, that's good, babe, that's good. I'm like, no, it's not. I was supposed to say this, I was supposed to do this, and they're like, oh, you're being too hard on yourself. But you're like, no, like the tape doesn't lie, you know. It's like we talk about sports. If you're like playing sports, you can see the tape and you're like, okay, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, coach is gonna be mad. So like I think watching tape, recording your stuff, writing daily is probably like the best thing to kind of like be consistent as a comic.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean, dude. Watching the videos back, I mean, as an artist, like, you know, I'll be watching, because, like, I'm sure, like, myself and others, at least, like, out of my friend group, like, our biggest concern, really, while we're performing is gassing out, you know, because, like, you're rapping, and maybe it's a fast song, maybe you put the slow song before the fast song, and then now you got 2 fast songs, and now you're gassed, you know?
Wow.
That's, like, the biggest, like, scare, to be honest, because not only are you sweaty, but now you're not even hitting it right, and like it just could go all south. But yeah, man, damn, like with comedians, like, yeah, I mean, for me watching tape, it is pretty tough.
Oh, it's like I think like it's painful. Like it is painful.
Yeah, it's like reality.
If you get through, if you can get used to like basically watching tape regularly,
yeah,
I think you're like, all right. And I'm not gonna lie, there's been moments when I've been watching like a set, and I'm like, this is bad, and I don't even finish watching. I'm like, this is just bad. Let me just throw it out, you know. But some other stuff, you're like, once in a while, you're like, wow, this is amazing. Why can I be doing this every single time, you know?
Yeah. What was like your highlights? Like highlight your maybe like your best performance.
Oof.
Like where were you? You know, all that.
I don't think I can probably. I just feel like it's just this past month I had like really good performances. I did 2 shows at well, I'll tell you kind of like the before and after. Last year, my girlfriend came to see me for the first time at a comedy festival, and it was the worst because I performed at a place called Plan B. Have you guys heard of Plan B?
Oh yeah, I know Plan B.
I performed in front of like a motorcycle gang. There was like the Hell Angels, where basically it had like a reunion. There's like 6 guys watching, kind of watching, not really watching. My girlfriend, one of my homies, 2 comics, and I'm just there, completely the worst, you know. And she's just smiling. Cause she's like, first time she's seen me perform, she's just kind of like, you're doing good, and I'm like, this sucks. So basically, a year later, I just had like, she came back again, and I even told her like, hey, this was like a joke. I was like, if I do as bad, like just like we're done, okay? Like you deserve a funnier guy, you know. And I crushed. Like I literally like after I had people coming up to me telling me like, hey, this is one of the best stuff that I've seen all day, blah 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 blah. Let me follow you on Instagram. People coming up to me asking randoms, bro. Like I've never seen, taking pictures with me. So that was kind of like from super worst last comedy festival to like, you know, to the peak where I'm like, wow, this feels great, you know.
Nice. What do you like? What are your plans, or like what kind of goals do you have to like? What do you want to achieve with this the comedy journey?
Ooh, that's good. I think like I'm just sort of like right now like at a period that I just want to be performing consistently, doing shows, like good shows, probably like once, twice a month, just getting more reps. I think like I have some kind of like commitments, like life commitments, where I just kind of just like, you know, be like, all right, I'm done with everything. I'm gonna move to Austin, to move to New York, move to LA to do comedy every day. But what I really kind of like would love is basically one of my friends from the desert. to kind of like, for them to do it, so I can just go crash their places. Like if it's a weekend, I'm like, hey bro, coming over, you got a spot for me to perform. So yeah, I feel like I'm mostly kind of like treating this as like a super cool hobby that I love doing. That maybe one day it becomes something that I'm getting like like some kind of like financially compensation from it. But I don't really want to like make it a mission to live out of it, because I feel like the moment you depend on something kind of like this is it, it's a lot of pressure and you kind of like forget to enjoy it. Like right now, like I'm enjoying it because I'm meeting people, I'm doing shows. People are coming to my shows, having a good time. Everything like right now, it's just for fun. Maybe eventually, like this becomes something cool, which that'd be amazing. But for now, I'm just seeing like the reality is just this is like a super cool hobby that I have.
Nice, man. No, that's an awesome answer, for real. Have you done comedy outside of the desert?
Yeah,
Like,
I've done shows in San Diego. One of the coolest weird shows that I did, it was one time in Hammett, because we did a show like at a kind of like an AY So kind of situation. I'm actually doing a show in Hammett like next week again, but I went and this guy like runs a show, and we're like, what is this? So it's like a bar that in the back has like a basketball court connected, and the show was kind of like there was people playing basketball, and there was like a little show there, and I was like, wait, how is this gonna work out? There's people playing basketball, and there's like a show, but actually basically eventually like lights went off, everybody playing basketball, I stopped playing basketball, and they came to watch the show. So I was like, that's weird, but that was cool. Yeah.
No, that's pretty sick actually. Damn.
No, but I think like basically like the reason why like the desert scene has been growing, it's kind of like a little bit has to do with like I feel like Acrisure, they're doing a lot of I think like before the casinos were doing more concerts, right? The casinos were doing concerts almost every month, but it's hard for a casino to compete with like basically because Acrisure just brought like Harry Styles, Olivia Rodrigo.
Yeah.
They're bringing like big names. So the casino is like, what am I gonna do? So I feel like the casinos are bringing more comedy. They're bringing more comics. Like next week, I don't know how much you guys know about comedy, but like a couple months is gonna be like Pete Davidson's coming, Shane Gillis, who else is coming?
Joe Coy.
Yeah, Joy. Like so casinos are bringing a lot of comics because that's like that's a little cheaper and like basically easier to do than basically like bringing like a big name artist. So to all the comics, basically, like that's so cool because I feel like people are now like kind of like, oh wow, I wonder if there's more comedy shows, and they find us out. So like Acrisure, we're being growing because because of them doing big concerts,
Dang, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, you're right, man. So who are some of your inspirations?
Like comics that I like.
Yeah, like comics that you like.
Like are you asking me like all time, like current?
We'll go. We'll do both. Yeah.
Do both. I think like inspiration, like I love basically watching Adam Sandler's stuff. I think like even like his movies, they're good. False comics. I really like. I love Chris Rock. Chris Rock, I think his stuff is it's super funny. There's this guy that I'm trying to think about. Aziz. I like Aziz because it's different. I think like he's. I don't know his last name. I don't know if you guys know who I'm talking about. Aziz, he's like an Indian guy. No, he was in a. Let me flip his name. Let me see. Aziz, what is his name?
Aziz. Yeah, I don't know too many comedians, to be honest. Aziz.
Oh, okay.
I think so.
Yeah, I just kind of like I kind. It's weird because not a lot of comics kind of like will say this guy, but it's just I feel like it's just like a completely different I feel like a lot of stand-up that I see, like even kind of like also Joe Coy, it's like you're watching someone doing something kind of like different, it's like a different kind of like background because he's Indian and he's kind of like, but Indian American, so it's kind of like talks about like kind of like both stuff. Currently, also like this guy, oh man, I forgot what is his name. Oh, Jimmy O Yang. He was in Silicon Valley. Currently, he's one of my favorite comics. He's Asian, so also immigrant from I don't know. I guess I just like kind of like I'm not a typical like I like this white guy. Nothing against white guy comics, but I just feel like it comes to a point that you see a lot, and they're kind of like they're like a little bit the same, But I feel like when you watch something kind of like different, I'm also like girls comics. Like there's like reading comics, Taylor Tomlinson. I enjoy watching it just because they have different perspectives.
Nice. No, I know what you mean, man. So with comedy, how much do you think social media plays a role in that? Like
Oof.
with your comedy, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I think like currently, like that's another reason why I feel like basically people are more interested in stand up now, just because I think like right now like social media did like a huge. I mean, social media is huge right now, right? And you see a lot of like comics like Andrew Schultz, Matt Rife, posting
blowing up.
posting basically. I mean, yeah, those guys blew up because of social media because they're posting like little 20 seconds of crowd work and stuff, and people are like, wow. By the way, like I don't know if you guys heard about like Matt Rives or you guys saw him in India. He came, and he kind of like he was. I went to see him, and he wasn't that funny. I think that's the kind of guy you watch like a 10-minute set. He's like, wow, he's real funny because he's just crowd work, high energy. But for like an hour, I'm kind of like, oh.
I think it was a whole hour.
It was like a full 50 minutes because he was preparing for his Netflix special, and he was like from all the comics. That's pretty harsh on him for people, but he got rated as the worst ever Netflix special with ratings of like 12% likes and stuff. You know, it was just completely kind of like
Damn.
it went all the way down. You know, but anyways, yeah, like I feel like social media plays right now like a huge role. I personally post a lot of stuff. Some of my comics friends, they don't like posting stuff just because they're kind of like, oh, I feel like that joke isn't ready. Like I don't want to post it. I want it to be perfect. I want it to be perfect. But I feel like the perfect doesn't really exist. You want to be chasing perfect. Like you want to be chasing it. But I feel like tell people just post whatever, you know. And even if you're gonna do the same joke, I get people. I posted some of my jokes and they come to see me and I'm like, man, I don't know what jokes to do now because I kept posting some of the jokes. But my friends are like, bro, do that joke again. And I'm like, which one? It's like, do this joke. And I'm like, why? Because I like it. So it's weird because we're like, I'm thinking I don't want to be posting stuff that I'm doing. But people are kind of like asking me to do it because, you know, like they find you to do that joke and they want to see that joke again. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that joke again. This is kind of like an argument that I go back and forth with some friends from comedy. They're like, they don't want to be posting, they don't want to be doing anything. Or like, how do you expect people to find out about you? How do you expect people to see that are funny if you don't want to post anything, you know?
Yeah, that is a tough one, honestly. That is a tough one because you're right. Like I have seen social media, right, with the comics, they're posting stuff, and then I go to the show and it's the same joke. But at the same time, I think if it's a good bit, I say always hit that. It's kind of like when we're doing the same sets, you know? Like I've been told a couple times recently that I need to upgrade it a little bit, you know, because like my same sets all the time. But I guess my little argument is like, well, you know, not all the same people are in the crowd. You know, maybe you got some new people in there. Exactly. Maybe they don't follow you on social media, and that joke will hit.
No, and I respect that. There's some comics, kind of like as I mentioned earlier, they do the same set every single time. Every single time they do it, and I'm just like, I personally hate it because I'm like, bro, I watched your set like 300 times already. I know every single joke, man, it's like word by word. But these guys are crushing it, and they have like a reason for it. You know, they're probably I don't know, they're doing it. They're doing it. I respect it. And some of my friends that come and watch him, they're like, dude, that guy's hilarious. And I don't want to tell him like, bro, he's been doing the same set for like 4 years now, because they're funny. They're super funny, and I think like the crowd loves it. So I think like it all comes down to what kind of artist you want to be. You know, like if you want to be doing the same stuff, I respect it because they're funny. Like they're getting laughs, which laughs is what as a comic, that's what you want. You know.
Yeah. Dang. Well, would you like to do your own special?
Oh yes, but yes, actually, like one of my good friends just had his special on Lido Avenida Music. I think that's what it's called, right? Mm-hmm. He had a special there. I think he did like 45 minutes. Ryan Stalder, if you're watching, yeah, he basically came and I think he had been doing stand up for like over 8 years or 10 years, and he had never done a special. And he's just like, you know what, I want to do a special, and that was kind of like a little bit of inspiration because I didn't even know that I don't know. I don't know how to say this. I thought you needed basically like, I don't know, Netflix or Amazon or someone to come to you and be like, hey, give us a special. But there's comics out there now that I know producing their own specials and just putting it out in YouTube, putting it on like different social media, OnlyFans and stuff, whatever. You know, yes, you're putting it out there, and somebody might pick that up. You know, someone might be like, hey, this is good stuff. Like, hey, this is Hulu. We'll give you $10,000 for it plus royalties, and they're like, wow, no way, you know. So I do feel like that's something that I want to do, just because also I think like a reason why I will do it, it's because That way, I feel like I'll be like, okay, I'm done with these jokes. I just put them on a special, cycle the jokes, like basically start from scratch. Because right now I have some jokes that I've been doing for like almost 2 years now, and they're good jokes. But I feel like once they're actually in a special, I'll be like, okay, cool. I have to write new stuff because all my stuff's already out there.
Nice. So, man, this is a good one too. Have you ever done stand up in Spanish?
I did actually. I did a show almost last year. It was a Spanish show. It was. I loved it, but there was only like 6 people that came to the show. It wasn't really well marketed and stuff, but there were some people that came, and I had a blast just because like I think like Latinos we have like a different kind of like what we call it carrilla, right? Carrilla, where basically like it's like just like you're messing with each other like kind of like nicely, and like and I saw these guys, professional comics, just going to kind of like being like, I don't know, it's like, hey, why do you have so many bracelets? Do you want to like, but you're in Spanish, like, oh, can I borrow your purse? But it's just like the way Latinos do stuff like that is just so funny and cool that I like to basically do it again, and that's probably something that I'm gonna be trying to do, kind of like just create some Spanish shows. I talked to Angel about it. We wanna be doing, but that's kind of like probably like next year projects.
I get you. Yeah, that'd be sick. Actually, 2 specials. One in English, one in Spanish. That'd be hard.
I don't know if you guys know Felipe Esparza, super funny comic.
Yeah.
He does that. He basically literally he does his special in English is the same as Spanish, but I watch both because they both make me laugh. It's like I already know like the joke in English, but I'm like, wait, I want to see how he does it in Spanish, and I'm like, oh wow, that's funny,
Hell yeah, damn dude. Or actually, have you ever thought about acting, like doing some sort of like comedy special, like acting?
No, I don't know like really about acting. I don't think like that's something that I feel like I personally like out of my interest. But with some comics that I perform with, like that I go to shows. All of a sudden they tell me like, hey dude, I got paid like, I don't know, like good money for like a commercial. And I was like, well, for a commercial? I was like, what do you do in the commercial? Like, dude, I didn't do anything. I was just basically my agent sent me to do like a commercial, and I'm getting like, like $4,000 just basically for like a 2-minute commercial plus something like that. And I was like, what? So I didn't even know. I mean, obviously, like we're in the desert, so it's a little bit different. I feel like LA people, like that's probably something more like kind of like in that industry.
Yeah.
But basically, I think like definitely something that I'm kind of like maybe thinking about is like doing a podcast, and I have some comics, kind of like telling me like, hey, how come we don't do a podcast? Everybody, because a lot of comics have a podcast, and I like that you guys have a podcast and stuff, just because a lot of people I feel like they think like it's so kind of like oh, no one's gonna listen to it. But there's like millions and millions of people like basically trying to just, obviously people are gonna go towards like the mainstream like whatever, but there's so many people listening to podcasts, that I feel like the industry is just kind of like barely, it hasn't bloomed yet. It's basically like right now it's like it's still like early stages.
Yeah. No, obviously I've definitely seen like the growth, especially out here, and bringing it back to Angel, because when I first started my podcast, I did it in 2020. That's when I started. And the reason why I started was because I just wanted to have conversations with people, because like the COVID, like no one was allowed to like kick it, right, because 6 feet or whatever. So I started it all on Zoom. Like I don't know if you went that far back in the catalog, but it was all Zoom, and I just wanted to have conversations with like my friends and stuff. And then it eventually grew because, shout out Angel, he opened the doors for me at the what was it? It was
the coffee shop.
The coffee shop in Indio.
Down the street of the little music hall. It's
yeah.
Like literally where that Indio sign is.
Is it called Liverbloom or something?
It's closed now.
It's closed now, yeah. It was a food truck. I think it was CB food truck or something.
No.
I forgot exactly what it was called, but Angel
shop.
had a studio there, and it was like also a coffee shop.
Oh.
And he opened up the doors for me. Shout out Brian too, because Brian was basically like producing the whole thing. Angel let me rent it out, and then I started taking the podcast a little more serious, because like my background is from I used to be with Coachella FM with KCOD, so I would interview like hip hop artists. I had a hip hop show, so it was like just like mainly hip hop based, and I would go from like live interviews to like at shows, meeting people, And I think eventually that's what I'm going to do. I actually was thinking maybe in the future I can go to one of these comedy shows and I could just do like a little setup and be like, yo, how do you feel before your set or something, and we'll just talk to everybody.
That's
you know,
something that I do like all the time. I just basically like I have like this little camera, and I pull up and I start asking comics. But sometimes they're like, I mean I feel like obviously like this is like a learning experience and stuff, but they get weird. You know, they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, bro, I'm just gonna like, why are you recording me? I'm like, bro, I'm gonna ask you some questions. And I do it, and they're like kind of like all annoyed and stuff. They're like, oh my god, why are you doing this? But once they see like the final product, they're like, oh, that's cool, bro. I'm like, yes, I told you this is cool. You know, like the behind the scenes, and I follow them around, kind of like basically like fist pumping every comic and just getting on stage and other people's reaction stuff. So yeah, kind of going back to what you were saying about like the interview people and stuff. I used to have a kind of like I was like a host of a podcast, I work in tech, and I used to interview people. I used to interview software engineers that were not software engineers. You know, basically people that somehow they taught themselves how to code, or they just went to school. You know, they were basically working as a PE teacher, but they wanted to learn computer science. So I used to interview people, and it was cool to basically to have people come in, and I'm pretty sure for you, people ask you questions about like after your podcast, after your shows, like, hey, I have questions, because I will post them. I wasn't in charge of posting, but you know, they will be out there, and there will be people hitting me up on like in my DMs, be like, hey, just wondering what advice would you give basically somebody trying to do this and do that. And I'm like, and the fact that we were able to help so many people, I thought was pretty cool.
Oh yeah. What kind of like, do you still work in tech now?
I still work in tech, yeah.
Okay. Dang.
Yeah.
With anyone interested in comedy, whether they want to listen or join the party, what are some places that you would recommend?
Yeah, I feel like you're really pretty lucky, because now we have so many like cool little spots, different shows to perform. So Coachella Valley Brewery, like down the street, they do like an open mic every Thursday from like 7 to like 9. It's a really good open mic. A lot of new comics. That's kind of like most new comics. They go there, we go there, we perform. They do I think like it's every Saturday. They do like a show every Saturday at CEV. Also, Little Avenida Music has like an open mic. They do, I think like that's every second Friday, every third Friday of every month. They have like an open mic. There's musicians, there's comics and stuff. They also do comedy shows there. Hood Bar and Pizza, they used to do comedy shows. I don't know what comedy shows, if they still doing comedy shows. The Ace Hotel every Tuesday. Chad Bradbury runs. That's the best open mic in the desert. Like that open mic is just it's at a hotel in front of like people who didn't even know whether, you know, people actually like in the hotel staying. They just walk in and they're like, they sit down and they're just kind of like, it feels like a show. Like that open mic is just like top level, probably the best open mic in the desert. And also, if you like to come and watch comedy or perform, Desert Underground, that's it's a really good show, you know.
Hell yeah. All right, man. Well, thanks for hopping on the show. You know,
Of course, thank you so much for inviting me, man. I hope everybody had a good time.
hell yeah. Till next time, guys. Peace.
You're listening to the GreenSkull podcast.
A podcast for Fife fans, music artists, and creatives alike.